Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Ba'ashem Rakak, and I want to say Shalom to Akmenakwat out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And again, Salaki for the nasaliness. I'm still getting over that cold, Lord willing, Babu Kasha. Same reason why I haven't gotten back to the 7 Essential series yet, because I want to finish it up without being all nasally and allergenic. So I've been doing a couple of these different lessons, but this one today, I don't really have a title for it, but we're dealing with this lady here, Valentina Gomez Noriega. She's a politician, a Colombian lady, all right, that, you know, is in the Republican Party. I guess she's trying to run for mayor or whatever, right? And she's just I can't tell if she's a tear, all right, or if she's just 2/3, all right. And it can be kind of hard with the Northern Kingdom, all right, because a lot of the Northern Kingdom, and I'm saying it, you got a lot of coons, all right, in the Southern Kingdom as well. But I've noticed, all right, by being around a lot of Northern Kingdom, constantly around a lot of Northern Kingdom at my job, a lot of them, you know, as opposed to, you know, the Southern Kingdom, which would be considered, you know, so-called Negroes, they know that the white man don't like them. All right, now you're gonna have some coons in there that think, oh, the white man, he's not all bad, and they're gonna, but a good chunk of the Southern Kingdom understand that the so-called white man don't like them. The Edomites don't like them, right? But the problem comes in with the Northern Kingdom. Bear with me. The problem comes in with the Northern Kingdom is that a lot of them think they're white. Okay, like this lady, you can see, you know, she's not very brown skinned, so they think they're white. Okay, they think they're white. And I was talking to an Issacharite lady the other day, I believe to be an Issacharite, could be a tear, who knows. You never know. Some of these people they just act crazy, just bugged out. But that works at my job. And she was talking about how, you know, people in her family really don't like black people, and they're all, you know, Mexican, so-called Mexican. And she's like, you know, Mexicans really don't like black people, all right? And she was saying that she didn't have an issue with them, but a lot of her family, guys, I guess she had a cousin that, or someone that got with a black girl and, like, basically, like, fucking disrupted the family, all right? They didn't really like it at all. And then they had a baby, and then they all had to just get used to it, right? And that's the thing. You know, there's another little Issacharite girl that works at my job, and she tries to keep herself as light as possible and doesn't like, you know, dark skin and all this stuff. And wants to be as light as possible, tries not to get a tan or anything, right? And, you know, that's the thing where it comes in with Northern Kingdom is a lot of y'all are going to realize, and of course not speaking to you brothers and sisters that are in this truth, because of course you already know, but, you know, you Northern Kingdom out there, you so-called Latinos and Native Americans that are out there in the world, all right, not in this truth, you're going to understand real quick, and it's getting into that point where you're going to realize that Esau doesn't like you, okay? You're over here thinking that you're white, you're thinking that you're better than, you know, Southern Kingdom, all right, the so-called black folk, and you don't realize they hate you. All right, they hate you. They cannot stand you. All right, you go into their communities and you infest is what they would consider. You infest their communities. All right, because, you know, and Issachar is kind of bad with that, because Issachar doesn't know where to, like, draw the line. You know, there's some small towns I've been to, and you'll see Issacharite out there. I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. You know, and then you wonder why, you know, Esau hates you. You know, here it is. They had this tiny little white farming town. And all of a sudden, you know, one Mexican family moved in 1981, and now the population demographic is 60% Mexican, right? And the white people there hate them. And, you know, I've been to towns like that, all right? I've been to towns like that. I've grew up in small towns, and, you know, they're mostly smaller towns. And you know, I've heard the people talk. Right? I've heard the people talking how they talk. You know, the goddamn Mexicans come here and, you know, taking all this and that. And like I said, you know, being my dad's, you know, not the lightest skinned guy, but he's light enough to pass as just a regular white guy. And then, you know, me with my mom being ultra white, I just look like just a regular white dude, all right, with just darker hair and shit. But they'll talk about these Mexicans that came in and moved in and took over. All this is happening. There's more. The crime rate's gone up and stuff. And Iskar really doesn't. And Iskar in the Northern Kingdom, they don't really put two and two together to realize that, like, you're over here, having issues with everybody, or you're trying to stand on the white man's side, when realizing that the white man hates you. Okay, he does not like you. Okay, he doesn't like you at all. And I've noticed that. And I'm saying, you could say, oh, this or that. I've seen it. All right, you can't try to talk your way out of it. All right, when I've seen it, I live in Nevada. There's a lot of Northern Kingdom here, a lot of Southern Kingdom here too. It's a melting pot, a lot. Okay, there's a lot of everybody. There's a lot of Asians here. There's a lot of everybody. Hawaiians. There's a lot of everybody here, man. And I've seen it. I talked to these people. I worked with these people. Okay, and that's not a coincidence when every single one, all right, fucking basically damn near acts like that. All right, even if they have a little bit more Latino influence, all right, and they're like proud of who they are, they're not completely proud of who they are, and they really want to be a little bit white at the end of the day, right? Whether it's in skin color or how they act, or who they vote for, right? Again, going back into it, the last year's election, the primary demographic was one of the biggest demographics of non-white people were Mexican individuals that voted for Trump. Okay, and again, like I said, these so-called Latinos and Native Americans, they think that they're white. And primarily Latinos. I don't really see it with. I can't say Native Americans because I don't really see it with them. I don't see a lot of them. All right, a lot of them are blended in with the Latinos anyway, so you can't really tell. If you go to Arizona, a lot of the Navajos, all right, down there, they get with the Mexican ladies and whatnot, and then it's kind of hard to blend the line. You can tell they have native features, but they kind of just look like a more native featured so-called Mexican, right? Down there in places like Parker, right, Arizona and whatnot. So yeah, man. I mean, it's those are the areas. So they got a whole. Arizona has a whole bunch of native reses. It has a bunch of native. That's probably the place I've been that has the most Native Americans that I've seen. All right, that I've spoke with, or that I've seen. They've done performances. All right. They do teepee events where you can go and stay in a teepee or learn how to make a teepee, or just different things, right? Learn about history, right? So, but a lot of these Latinos, I should say, at least, they vote for Trump. They think that Trump's going to help, and it's good what's happening right now, because I mean, it's bad, but it's good because it needs to happen, so the Latinos can understand that, look, man, the Esau hates you as well. Okay, now you have this whole shit with Alligator Alcatraz and the deportation and the whole shit going on with Venezuela and declaring war and all the shit with all these different places. It must be done, right? It must be done because a lot of Latinos think that, like, the white man's on your side, and that's not the case, man. You're an Israelite at the end of the day, okay? And Esau hates the Israelites, all right? Whether you're so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, he hates you. He hates your guts. He wants to exterminate you, all right? So you got to realize, I mean, if you go and you look and get the scripture, right here, Genesis 27:41, this was said to Jacob. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Now, we got to go and get this one. So he vowed to slay his brother, all right, who is Jacob. And now, mind you, through Jacob, all right, that's that lineage. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is down through where the tribes came from, right? That's where the tribes came from. So you're through that line. So if Esau, and Esau is the so-called white man, all right, and he says, I'm a kill my brother, all right, you're in that list, okay? You're in that list. And you can see, this is dealing with Mount Seir, all right, and who lived in Mount Seir? Who dwelled in Mount Seir? It said, first inhabited by the Horites. It says, look, later displaced by the descendants of Esau, who settled in the area and became known as the Edomites, with Esau himself dwelling there. All right, so the Idumeans are the Edomites. Okay, that's who it's talking about if you read up. Okay, in verse Ezekiel 35:5, it says, and this is the Lord speaking about this. Well, actually, we'll go up to verse. We'll actually just go up to verse 1. It says, Ezekiel 35:1. It says, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. So this doesn't mean you're prophesying against a mountain, you're prophesying against the people, the Edomites, all right, the Idumeans. It says, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. This is showing, the Lord's hatred. All right, you can go and get Romans 9:13. It says, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Okay, because he hated the Edomites, the Idumeans. All right, you can actually go that's another scripture, but yeah, so he hates the Idumeans. He loves Jacob, but he hates the Idumeans. All right, and like it says, and I will make thee most desolate. He was promising them that they're going to be destroyed. All right, verse 4, it says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Why? Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. So why? Because he had a perpetual hatred. Esau has a perpetual hatred. Now, through the scriptures, we've already talked about reincarnation. All right, I believe I got to do another one soon dealing with that. We already talked about reincarnation. There's plenty of lessons about reincarnation. All right, reincarnation is a biblical concept. It's not the way that these heathens or like Hindus or any of them made it out to be, but you do come back. All right, every 3 to 4 generations. Third and fourth, right here, Exodus 20:5. It says, thou shalt not bow down thyself them, with idols, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So you come back every 3 to 4 generations, and you say, well, no, that's talking about that. Well, this would be a error in the Bible if it wasn't. All right, and there's no errors in the Bible, because we got this scripture, because it says he's going to visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the children. All right, under the third and fourth generation. That's the key line, under the third and fourth generation, because that's when they come back. All right, the children are the same, fathers, coming back 3 to 4 generations. All right, so, and that's roughly 70 to 100 years. All right, so 70 to 100 years after that, you come back, and your great-great-grandfather, whoever, that pissed off the Lord, you're that same person coming back, right? So Ezekiel 18:20, it says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon them, shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. So that would be an error, all right, if so, and it's not. All right, it just shows you that reincarnation is a thing. I mean, another quick scripture to get reincarnation is all right, there's Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says, the thing that hath been, it is which shall be. The thing that was in the past is the same things that are going to be in the future. All right, well, at least in this society. It says, and that which is done is that which shall be done. The things that were done in the past are going to be done in the future. All right, at least in this time frame, right? It says, and there is no new thing under the sun. Are we under the sun? Are we under the sun? Yes, we are. All right, the sun is above us, is it not? So we're not new. Okay, 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. Okay, so there's nothing new, all right? And we're something, so we're not new. So they've kept that perpetual hatred down through their generations of reincarnation, coming back and back and back and back and back. That's why we go through bloodline, all right? On your father's side, that's where your Israelite lineage comes from, all right? On your father's side, that's where your Edomite lineage would come from, all right? If you had an Israelite father and an Edomite mother, you're still an Israelite. Okay, if you had an Israelite mother but an Edomite father, you're still an Edomite. It doesn't matter if you look white or if you look black or however you look. It's through the bloodline. All right, it's a bloodline thing, not a skin color thing. Okay, you're not like a half breed, a half mix. All right, that doesn't make sense at all. There's no halves. You are what your father is. So they kept that perpetual hatred coming back and 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 back down through the generations of Esau. All right, they kept on hating Jacob, kept on hating Jacob, kept on hating Jacob, kept on wanting to kill Jake, kept on wanting to kill Jake. And that's why they are like this. You know, you look in the 30s and they want to kill Jake. You look at the 20s and they want to kill Jake. You look at the 50s, they want to kill Jake. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, they want to kill Jake. They're still killing Jake to this day. All right, because they have a perpetual hatred. Okay, they hate Jake. Okay, they want to kill you, Jake. All right, whether you be so-called Negroes, Latinos, or Native Americans, they want to kill your ass. Okay, it says because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. And it talks about the Lord getting them back. In verse 6, it says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. So that thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Since you didn't hate blood, you did spreading, but your blood's going to be spread, right? Your blood's going to be spread. So, yeah, man, and we're going to play a couple of videos here, Lord willing. We're dealing with this lady, Valentina Gomez Noriega, because she's either, I don't know, like I said, I can't deduce what she is over it. She might just be an Edomite. She might just be it's hard to tell. Like I said, when you have these cooned out Northern Kingdom, it's really hard to tell. All right, it's really hard to tell. Okay, and you can't go off of skin color. I mean, she is light, but you never know, right? You just never know at the end of the day. And you have Issachar that are actual Issacharites, all right, that act just like this, okay, all cooned out. So, you know, you got to get these illegals out of here. And then you don't realize that your grandmother's an illegal, all right, as they call it. I don't like using that term because there's no really illegal people in this country, because everyone that, I mean, the natives were here, all right, and then Esau came illegally, and everybody else, I mean, we're already on land that was colonized and brutalized. So technically none of us was supposed to be over here in the first place anyway in Babylon. But, you know, that's just, you know, Jake went off, all right, and of course we got scattered. So, but yeah, man, this land is really no man's land. It's not supposed to be dwelled by anybody. But I mean, Esau did show up and brutalize who was there first, all right. So, but this is her, all right. I'll show you this one first. You know, and she's just on that extremism, like shit like Esau. And like I said, it's hard to say if she's a terror or if she's just a fucking bugged out 2/3, because there's a lot of bugged out 2/3. A matter of fact, I was just watching a lesson by the Apostle Bar. I believe it was his, going live on a Tuesday after it was evening actually. But he has that series going live on a Tuesday afternoon. And he was talking about, you know, if you had a Jake among the heathen, they're going to be completely bugged out. So, you know, you're going to have to basically, you know, build them up, and they're going to have to learn completely different. So, who knows? I don't know what the state of this lady was. All right. There's, like I said, there's a lot of Issachar, whether they be, or a lot of so-called Latinos, I'll say, whether they be actual Israelites or not in this case, whether they be going back to the 12 tribes. All right, or they are actually just, you know, a terror, and they look like a so-called Latino, Negro, Latino, or Native American, you know, whoever they go back to. But I said, like I said, with the Northern Kingdom, it could be kind of hard to tell. Sometimes it's even hard to tell with the Southern Kingdom. But they really, the Latinos are really indoctrinated. They think they got a chance that, like, that since they're not so dark, that maybe Esau will accept them, and that's just not the case. All right, and it's in 2025 and 2026, you guys are going to learn that more and more and more. All right, and you know, we don't wish any harm upon our people, but I mean, you guys got to learn. I mean, you know, the Southern Kingdom, we still got some scragglers that think, you know, quite a few at least, that think that Esau is not just the enemy, but he can be helped. And you can't. All right, but thankfully, you know, a good chunk of the Southern Kingdom, even out in the world, understand that Esau is not going to help them at all. All right, there's a lot of bugged out 2/3 so-called Negroes out there. They understand. All right, you got Benjamin out there. All right, in the islands, and they've been known. All right, they're not in this truth at all. All right, and they've been known that the white man is not for them. All right, and is they call, you know, they have all these songs, Down Oppressor Man, the Oppressor, right? So they've been known, all right. But it seems like something with the Northern Kingdom, like they're holding on, like hoping that maybe, just maybe, Esau like let him in. And I don't know what it's all about. I don't know. It's just really, it's hate for who they are. They hate themselves. All right. And look, man, you got to realize that, look, your people are going to love you, but Esau's not going to love you. Okay. So you'd much rather be with your people. All right. We like hanging out with our people. Esau hates us. Whatever. Why would we want to be surrounded by a bunch of people that hate us? Doesn't make any sense unless we've somehow convinced ourselves within our mind that we're not hated. All right. And you are. People talk shit about you. So here you go. This isn't the main one. This is another one. This one is the main one I found, but this is the one that, another one when I looked her up. She's on that Esau shit, right? So like I said, it's hard to say if she's a tear or not.
Vote for me so we can kick every dirty Muslim out of Texas and protect our soldiers from getting murdered in broad daylight. Let me be very clear. We will make Texas the worst place for groomers, terrorist Muslims, pedophiles, and illegals to live in, so help me God. For me, this is just an election. But for you and your daughter, this is your life. Because Texas has only gotten more Muslim under these weak Republicans. New York City already fell to Islam. So did Michigan and Minnesota. And you're next in line. If Texas falls to Islam, it's simply because you didn't vote correctly. God bless you all.
It's simply because you didn't vote well. I'm just like, okay, all right, whatever. You know what people are going to say? All right, whatever, you dirty fucking spick. That's what people are going to say. And they're not going to check if you're Colombian. All right, they're going to say, all right, whatever, you fucking beaner, you wetback. All right. All right, here, look at this. Look at this guy, ready? All right, I guess he's an Asian guy. All right, but look what he's saying even. He's saying, hello, ICE. Yeah, this woman doesn't even speak real English. All right. It says, a lady with an accent telling that Texans she will come down hard on a particular group because she's more American than them. It says, what else do we got? It says she ran for office in Missouri where I lived before and lost so bad she moved to Texas to try her luck there. She's trying to build a political career off of racism and bigotry because she has seen how it has worked for others in our government. Yeah, but they're white. She's not. Okay? It says hopefully she loses again and decides to leave the U.S. There you go. And you see it. This is a white woman. All right? Hopefully she, you know, it says other white people. She isn't white. Are you going to tell her or should I? Right, there you go. Other white people. I don't know who said other white people. I don't know where she said it, but yeah, man, she's not white. And that's the other thing. People need to see, they're even saying she's not white. She's not white. See, you don't realize whatever your fucking name was. I already forgot your name. What's this bitch's name? I already forgot. I remember her last name, Noriega. But yeah, man, she's just you know, you see it. What else? Let's get to the next comment. It says, Brian's a Colombian, we don't claim her. You see that? It says, we will in Texas. You got a white guy here. That's what he says. It says, you are another immigrant, Manuel. Or is it, oh, is this a Mexican guy? Manuel Lerma. Oh, it is. Yeah, we will in Texas. It says, you're another immigrant. There you go. Look, a vomiting face. You, another immigrant. Manuel vomiting. You and I'm gonna say it sucks to say, but you deserve this, Issachar. All right, and you Colombians, you know, which I believe is what is Asher. Let me go and see, because I wanted to bring it up. 12 tribes of Israel, right here. Asher, Colombians to Uruguayans, right here, right here. Look, this is all Northern Kingdom right here, right? This is all Northern Kingdom right here. Look, Simeon, the so-called Dominicans, Zebulon, the so-called Guatemalans, the Panamanians, Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, Gad, the so-called North American Indians, Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians, Naphtali, the so-called Argentinians to Chileans, Asher, the so-called Colombians to Uruguayans, Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. So that's the Northern Kingdom. Of course, you got the Southern Kingdom as well, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah being the so-called Negroes, Benjamin, the so-called West Indians, and Levi, the so-called Haitians. And you don't have to look any type of way to be these. Like I said, I look like how I look, and I believe to be of Benjamin. All right? I've been told by people, you know, and I've thought about it because I thought I was from Judah. All right? And mind you, I look like a so-called white person that has alleged ancestry that goes back to Mexicans, so-called Mexicans, but you know, it's not about how you look. You know, there's brothers that were in GMS, all right, that I've seen videos where I can't remember. It was one brother that thought he was Judah, but turns out he was actually Gadite. All right, a Gadite. So, you know, my wife happens to look like a so-called black woman, but we believe she may be either Gad or, you know, one of the other ones, and maybe still Judah, but she doesn't really have a lot of the Judite woman traits. All right, and you know what I mean by Judite women traits. So she doesn't really have a lot of those. She likes the outdoors and nature and peace. And then she was talking about how, you know, growing up, her father used to like making Native American diagrams, and her grandfather used to watch like the westerns with the Native Americans in it. And it just seems like, you know, maybe Gad is, you know, something. Again, we can't be 100% sure. All right, it's just what we feel. All right, and you know, what we go off of how you know, how the spirit feels. Okay, there's not, you know, you're not gonna step up and someone's gonna play, you are Gad, right? In this society at least, right? But you just got to go off of who you feel. And you know, Benjamin makes a lot of sense, all right, when I look at it and how I am. And you know, I look at other Benjamites and I'm like, yeah, I can see I have the reasoning like them brothers, right? And you know, and Gad, you know, Gad very you know, nature oriented and very peaceful. They're very peaceful. I've never met and I've met a few Native Americans. I've never met, well, unless they're drinking, I've never met any ones that really are just always out of control all the time, right? So, but when they're drinking, I mean, anybody when they drink, but man, Native Americans, man, when they drink, I've been to, they love heavy metal too. I've been to a lot of heavy metal concerts and thrash metal concerts, and man, they fucking love them. All right, they love them. So, yeah, it says Colombian immigrant, by the way. This says, yeah, we do not claim this creature. All right, there you go. It says Sip es Colombiana. Let's see. It says, yes, she is Colombian. That level of stupidity is a particular sign of our politicians. It says the accent really exacerbates the irony of her existence. This person said, go back to Mexico. All right, Colombia kicked her out. She's Colombian, but the way this administration is, they probably would do that. No shit. No, that shit is not no Mexican. But wait, yeah, send her to Mexican. I get someone to take good care of her. The fuck is this? But yeah, no, that's what this. See, there you go. You know, I'm not gonna like it, but I mean, I'd like to, right? I'd like to like it, but I'm just not gonna condone it. But yeah, it says go back to Mexico. See, and I like the comment. I'm not gonna like it physically, but I like the comment because it shows you that Esau doesn't fucking like you, man. When are you gonna realize you're trying to campaign and sell yourself to Edomite audiences, and they don't fucking like you? They're saying go back to fucking Mexico. All right, go back to Mexico, and you're not even from Mexico. They don't care. They see what you are, and they say, oh, your accent, and they're like, get the fuck out. It says said by an immigrant, by the way. It says ICE didn't get her. There you go. It says, is it just me or she sounds like a Latina? If she is, that is the funniest thing, and she is. It says, this person said, can't wait for the day of judgment. I'm gonna like that as well. So there you go. I'm unlike it now. It says, on the day of judgment, Allah will punish those evil. Right? No. So I'm unlike it. So let's see. Tell me this is a joke. It says, her voice sounds like she sells loose cigarettes at the bodega. I'm gonna like it. She needs to go crawl back under a rock. This person said, can't even speak English properly. Absolutely. So there you go. It says, why is she trying so hard to sound like a native English speaker? It says, guess what? It means she can speak another language. Bitch, barely. Here's this guy. All right, let's go and look at him. It says, Mohabbat Shakawat. He says, where's Trump and ICE when you need them? She's fresh off the boat. Barely speaks English. All right, there you go. So, what's wrong with her mouth? She wants to be white so badly. Absolutely. Love it. Love it. She's from Colombia. It says, send her back. It says, so she's not white. She's clearly white, but she's Colombian. Being from a Latam country doesn't make you not white. No, you're not. She's not white. All right. That's the problem. You're having people like this that are like being like, oh, you're white because they see the skin color. White, no. And that's why white doesn't work as a nationality. Okay. White skin doesn't make who you are, because you might have white skin and be Colombian. You might have white skin and be albino and be from Jamaica. All right. I mean, you look at Yellow Man, right? So I mean, the Lord really messed his ass up. But I mean, look at his skin. His skin is white, is it not? Because he suffers from albinism, right? Or suffered. Is he still alive? I don't know. But you see his skin is white. So is he white? Is yellow man white? And he's gotten worse as he's aged, but when he was younger, you know, people with albinism, they usually get really fucked up as they age. But you know, you can see this one right here, right? Is he white? Is he white? I mean, go listen to his music, and is he white? Is he white though? That's the question, because Yellow Man was not white. He was you had white skin color, okay, white skin color, but or as they say white, but it's really red or pink. All right, but he's Jamaican. He's a Benjamite. So what are you talking about? Right? That's why going off of skin color doesn't make any sense. All right. So why does she talk so weird? It is true. She talks like she's trying to be American, but she has this thing where she does this. I'm just like, what are you doing? This person said, this is disgusting. We want you out of Texas. And again, we'll watch it again.
Vote for me so we can kick every dirty Muslim out of Texas and protect our soldiers from getting murdered in broad daylight. Let me be very
Murdered in broad daylight. Yep. Real white of you, lady. Real white. Here's another one. Here's what she did. She's an extremist. Here.
It's that simple. Public executions for any illegal that rapes or kills an American. They don't deserve deportation. They deserve to be ended.
Yo, what a crazy promo video. What a crazy short to make for a Texas Republican candidate.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Right? And this guy's I don't know if this guy's a Republican or whatever, but you see a lot of people say, yeah, we're with it. We're with it. Right? You're with this action, but there's still the type of people that would talk shit about her. All right. So any of these people you see that say, "Oh, I'm gonna move my entire life wherever she is so I can vote for her," that's what they say, right? But she's trying to pander to the low IQ, non-intellectual, inbred hillbillies. All right, and they like what she's doing, but they don't like who she is. All right, this is the same time when these type of people get elected. What usually happens is that they're like, oh, I like what she stands for, but then they don't like any of the other things because she happens to be brown. All right, Esau is confused in their own mind. All right, where was she supports Israel, by the way, so there you go. So she's going back, right? There was a it says, how can anybody be against that? Well, the problem is that if someone comes and they just say that they raped or did something, right, then they would be easily able to do executions, all right? And you can't trust Esau to, judge rightfully. They're not good judges. There was a video here, not a video, there was a comment, and I can't find it. It says, right here, it says, she's a Zionist, chill. Conservatives, stop simping for Zionists. This person said, what about the pedo Jews? Because she's in Israel's pocket is how it goes. But yeah, so she's from Colombia. All right, as you can see, this whole area where a bunch of Israelites, Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, all the look, man, South America. But she wants to be white. All right, or she is white, either way. But we're coming at this as a tone that, this is really for the Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, people that think they're white. All right, even if you're Southern Kingdom, you're light skinned. Don't think that you're liked more by the white people because you're light skinned. They still hate your ass. They might hate you a little bit less visually, but they still hate who you are. All right. So Proverbs 3:31, it says, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." Okay. So and we can go in 32. It says, "For the froward is abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous." And, you have a lot of these people out here that are envying the oppressor. They want to dress like the oppressor. They want to look like the oppressor. You got a lot of even Southern Kingdom women that, use that fucking skin bleach and shit. But they're not going to like you anymore because your skin is lighter, all right? Your skin is only one part of the issue, Okay, and Esau saw the skin color. They might like I said, you might be more visually attractive to them because you're lighter and they don't like dark skin. But at the end of the day, spiritually, you're an Israelite. They're not gonna like you for who you are at all. Okay, they might think you're more physically attractive, but spiritually, or what's the word? It's really spiritually, but what's the word they would say in the world? Not physically, but emotionally, personally, they're not gonna like you. Okay, they're not gonna like you. Okay, for example, I don't like, what's something I don't like? I don't like spaghetti. Okay, I don't like the way it tastes. I don't even quite care for the way it looks. Right? Don't like spaghetti. So if you dressed up spaghetti as, I don't know, something I do like a steak, right? And I bite into it, I'm still not gonna like it. It might look, oh look, steak's more appealing. I like it. But when I bite into it and I realize it's not steak, I'm like, this fucking shit sucks. It tastes like spaghetti. Get rid of it. And that's what they're gonna do to you. They're gonna see that you're lighter, and they're like, oh, okay, a little bit lighter is better. Then you're gonna open your mouth and they're gonna say, I hate this jigaboo. Get away from me, right? Or I hate this wetback. Get away from me, right? Or this fucking Tonto needs to go back to his teepee and get away from me. That's what they're gonna say. They don't care. Looks are only like the smallest part of the equation. That's why we don't go off a look. It's not about looks. It's not about skin color. All right. Even the Lord mentioned that to Samuel. All right. Judge not according to his countenance or upon his appearance. All right. For I have rejected him. All right. And then told him that, look, man looketh on the outward appearance, but, the Lord looketh on the heart. Okay. He told that to Samuel. So, when people see, it's not about how you look. It's about who you are and how you are. Okay. And, Issachar and anyone else. All right. Asher, whoever it happens to be, all right, they don't care how light or dark you are. At the end of the day, they care that you're an Israelite and they don't like you. Okay, so you're not supposed to be envying the oppressor. All right, like it says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And you're trying to live just like an Edomite. All right, you're trying to act and behave just like an Edomite. Okay, so, and you can go in, you can look at, we're not going to read it all, but I said, what colonization or persecution by white Europeans has been done to Colombians? It says, short version, Colombians absolutely were colonized and brutalized by white Europeans, mainly Spain, and the effects stuck around for centuries. It doesn't get talked about as loudly as some other cases, and you can go look, violent conquest, warfare, massacres, forced submissions. All right, there's the disease, 50% of the 50 to 90% of the indigenous population died within a century, all right, of Colombia. Okay, so that means 50 to 90% of the original people that were there got killed out, right? But of course they came back. But that means, that right there could be that there's a lot of, in Colombia, there's a lot of Edomites as well. All right, same with Mexico, a lot of Edomites because of the whole Spanish conquest. The Spanish were colonizing like shit, and the Spanish, despite the name, they were white people. They were Edomites, all right? So yeah, man. But you just don't get it. All right, you think you're going to be accepted, and that's just not the case, man. That's just not the case. So let's get, I want to get a couple more scriptures. Let's see. Really, I mean, we can get these scriptures, but I like to get some more. You know what? Let me think. What do I want to get? Let me open up my notes, see if there's anything that sticks out of my mind. Let's see here. Well, actually, you know what? We got to go and get... I didn't even think about doing this. We got to go and get this. I did think about it earlier, but then I didn't actually do it. But Jeremiah 10 and 2, it's similar to the scripture we just got about not envying the oppressor, but different. Jeremiah 10 and 2, it says, Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So, again, learn not the way of the heathen. These are the way you're walking, the way you're moving, the way you're behaving. You're trying to be like a heathen, an Edomite, okay? You're doing both, and you envy the oppressor so much. You want to fucking be Esau at the end of the day. If you really knew what was coming to Esau, you wouldn't want to be like Esau. But because you don't know, you want to be just like them. All right, we are better. All right, as Israelites, we are better than the heathen. We are better than the Edomites. All right, but you don't see it right now because you don't have the truth. All right, and let's go and get that. We just got that the other day. But Hosea 4 and 6 is still extremely present. All right, in relevant, right? It's always relevant. Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Okay, and that's what's gonna happen. You're destroyed for lack of knowledge. You don't understand anything. You don't understand what's gonna happen to Esau. You don't understand the blessings that are coming to Jake. You don't understand who you are. You don't understand how they are. You don't understand that they're literally your enemy and they'll kill you. You don't understand those things, right? So Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, and on top of you've rejected knowledge. You don't want to hear it. All right, you say Jesus Christos es negro, no blanco, and you'll say no, Jesus Christos es blanco. All right, cool, go for it then. All right, keep worshiping white Jesus and see what happens to you. Right? Let me start over. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, and you reject it actively. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. So you're going to be forgotten, okay? You're going to be forgotten because you forgot the Lord. You wanted to reject knowledge. You wanted to be just like the Edomites, okay? You wanted to crawl up in the Edomite skin and live like them, right? That's how you wanted to be, right? And mind you, 2 Maccabees 7 and 31, dealing with the Edomites, it says, and thou that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of Yahweh. Now, of course, this is referring to the Israelites. Okay, all Israelites. Okay, he didn't just persecute the so-called Negroes. All right, look into your history, Jake. Look into your history, man. Go and look up what did white Europeans do in Puerto Rico? What did white Europeans do in Venezuela? What did white Europeans do in Mexico? What did white Europeans do in anywhere? Even if you're not a Jake, even if you're not an Israelite, you can do that if you're not white. And something will come up, if for example, the Hamites, what did white Europeans do to Africa, right? And they've gone through less than us, right? But I mean, the Edomites primarily are a terror unto Israel, Jacob, right? They've done the worst to us, but I mean, they're grievous to all nations, right? They're even grievous to themselves, right? They're horrible. All right, they're just horrible, bad people. So why would you envy to be like these people? Why would you envy them? Why would you envy your oppressor, Jake? Why? So that's what we're going to close out with. Like I said, she may be a Jake. She may not be a Jake. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to tell with these people that are all cooned out. But that's what we're going to close out with, right? So Lord, what was edifying? Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to say shalom to your brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.